Let me ask you a question. Have you heard the advice,
if you want to learn a language, speak from day one?
Have you heard people say that a lot? I know I've heard it a lot. Well, I'm here to say I disagree. I don't think you have to speak from day one to become fluent. Let's talk about it. If you like to watch videos about language learning, like this one, you have probably heard the advice, speak from day one. Even though I disagree, let's discuss both sides. One of the arguments for speaking from day one is it builds confidence early. Speaking is scary. So if you start speaking early, you start overcoming the fear sooner. In other words, the sooner you start speaking, the sooner you will feel more confident speaking. Another argument for speaking from day one is you're actively learning. Speaking itself is an active skill, but when you use the language, it helps enormously with being able to actually acquire the language. Remember what I've said before? Use it or lose it. Another argument for this is it helps you learn faster. If you're actively speaking, then you might improve faster, especially in areas like pronunciation, vocabulary, memory, and having conversations. Another argument for is you can focus more on meaning than perfection. Usually, the goal of learning a language is to communicate. You don't need to speak perfectly to communicate. So if you start speaking early, you can start communicating early. Similar to that, another argument is ignoring perfection gives you a growth mindset. Your mindset is the way you think. A growth mindset means you believe you can change and you can improve and move toward your goals. This is the opposite of a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset means you believe you can't change. When learning a language, it's important to have a growth mindset. You can change, you can improve. So if you start speaking from day one and you accept that making mistakes is part of the process, then you can start improving faster. All of these are good things. However, there are also some cons. Before, we were talking about the pros. Now, let's talk about the cons. Here are some arguments against speaking from day one. It produces a lot of anxiety. If you start speaking a new language, you might feel embarrassed or overwhelmed. So you might start feeling frustrated or unmotivated. These things can stop you from learning. Another argument against is fossilized errors. What are fossilized errors? A fossil is something that died a long time ago, and its body is kept in the ground, preserved. A fossilized error is a mistake that you keep. And even if you progress in the future, you might still keep making those same mistakes. When a mistake becomes fossilized, it's a habit that becomes very difficult to break later. Another argument against is if you're focusing on speaking, you might not spend so much time on things like listening. Listening is so important in learning a language. I think it's the most important thing to do, especially at the very beginning, but even throughout the learning process. Also, maybe speaking from day one is not your learning style. It's not for everyone. For me, I don't speak from day one. I enjoy a silent period. I listen. I listen. Everything I do, I listen. I know after some time, I will start speaking, but it isn't my style to start speaking right away. So, what do you think? Did you start speaking from day one? Do you think it's a good idea to speak from day one? Let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. Until next time, bye.